Hi, this is Mr. Y. This game was played a couple weeks ago, early May of 2015, between Zach and AJ at the Britton Acres Elementary Championships, and let's see, Zach had the white pieces, AJ had the black pieces. This game had an amazing ending, just sort of came out of, well, almost out of nowhere, where black suddenly had a crushing defeat of white, and this is a great illustration of why having an open file in front of a king is bad and having an open file in front of a rook is good. So we'll start with white naturally. Zach moved e4, AJ played e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. AJ brought out her knight. Zach brought out his knight. Bishop c5, d3, d6. This is all very normal gioco pianissimo sort of game. And Zach brought out his bishop, pinning the knight to the queen, so that now that knight can't go anywhere. And AJ replies with this move, bishop to e6, which does a couple things. First off, it offers an exchange of bishops with this bishop here, because he's protected by the pawn. And the other thing it does is it sort of discourages bringing this knight into here, because then you can just take it. It gets a little complicated, but that's the second idea behind it. Zach made it a pretty reasonable move here, castling. This is really good because it gets your king out of danger. And AJ did something that was totally astonishing. It's only been played once before in history and never by a strong master. She moved her bishop a second time to g4. Now keep in mind, she has just moved that bishop, right? So she moves bishop once, Zach castles, she moves her bishop again. Now we always say to scholastic players, move your pieces once in the opening and get it exactly to where you want it to go, and then don't move it again until you're done developing. Now, obviously every rule has an exception, and this is it. A brilliant move here because Zach has just castled. Now there is a good reason to put this bishop on the other square. Now if we have the likely exchange that's going to happen, maybe the knight's going to come in here and then hit this knight, and then the pawn will take back, and then the bishop will take back, and then this pawn will have left the opening in front of the king, and now we will have an open file in front of the king, which is going to be bad for white. So that gives you a good reason to move that bishop twice. Now, having said that, don't move your pieces twice in the opening. That's not what I want you to be doing. All right, so she moved her piece twice in the opening, and it was a good thing in this case. And then Zach went ahead and went to knight d5. He wanted to attack her pinned knight, and AJ ignored it and moved her knight down here. We've got this very symmetric situation. She's attacking his pinned knight. Now, why is it different for black and white here? Well, like I said before, if black does an exchange here of this white knight, then this pawn is going to be open in front of the king, and that's a bad thing. If black does the same thing over here and exchanges off some material, this pawn is going to be missing in front of, well, probably in front of a rook. We're going to have the rook here, and he's going to be looking down an open file, which is a good thing. All right, so what was the next move? We have c3, another perfectly reasonable move at hitting this knight, and AJ is pretty much forced to do what she wanted to do anyway. She goes ahead and takes the knight. Zach is forced to open up in front of the king. AJ makes a nice move here. This position has been seen once in history, and the other time that the bishop went backwards, she puts her bishop on h3, which is a better square. And the reason it's better is because now this king is effectively trapped in his little box. He can't go forward. This pawn can't go forward. This pawn can't go forward because it's blocked by another pawn. And even the rook, well, right now the rook is being attacked, right? But if the rook moves away from there, then the king still won't be able to go there because the bishop is still protecting that square. So we have d4 from Zach, and which attacks this bishop. AJ goes ahead and takes that pawn, and Zach retakes. And now AJ makes another stunning move. Rather than moving her bishop back, which is kind of what you would expect in this situation, she does something astounding. She pushes her pawn. Now, it may have been a mistake, because what Zach sees and what I see on first looking at this is that, well, if I now just take this knight, getting out of the attack, and then she's going to have to take back, and now I'm going to take, and I'm up a bishop. Maybe AJ will take the rook, and then we'll take back, and we'll have exchanged a rook for 2 pieces, but we'll still be worse off for black. But it's not that simple. So let's go back to this move. So AJ pushes this pawn. Now the bishop takes. AJ takes back with the pawn, opening up. Zach takes the bishop, thinking that he's going to be up a bishop. He's probably pretty happy at this point. But then AJ has check, which is worse than check, because it's going to, well, AJ thought she was winning a queen, she tells me. King goes here. Bishop goes here. Check again. King has to come back, only move. And now she has a revealed attack on the king while attacking the queen, which seems like it's winning the queen, but it's even better than that, actually, because we have the bishop controlling these 2 squares, and there's nowhere for the king to go, and that is checkmate. So, an astounding game, really astonishingly good. Every move was accurate. We have the sort of a standard gioco pianissimo up to this point, very much a book opening. AJ plays something that's a little bit out of book, but still very, very good, and then makes this astonishing move, moving her bishop twice in the opening, which is usually a no-no, but here it's very good, and it's setting up a killer attack that comes, well, right here, forcing the bishop to take the knight. Well, I suppose the bishop could retreat, but it certainly encourages the bishop to take. She opens up her file. She sacrifices her bishop and then gets a checkmating attack. Excellent game on the part of both players. I'll see you next week. Go play chess.